As I say, it all starts when you're young and when nobody interferes with your thinking. And they let you explore, and when you come to a conclusion on your own, it's an empirical conclusion. It stays with you. It becomes solid referential knowledge. It's a reference forever, but it's yours. It's not something that was introduced to you without any proof, verification, or experience of it. It's yours.
It's part of your foundation.
It is the foundation, and it comes back instantly when you need it.
That recall.
The recall is instant and immediate. When I was a kid, I was very curious about like the dressing. Why is the salad dressing? I shake it. And all of a sudden it goes to the surface and it resettles. I shake it again, and then it goes down. I actually turned that experiment or curiosity into a technique of manipulating paint, sliding it, and I created geological formations, cloud formations by manipulating how it goes. And let them dry. When it dries, it's a natural formation. So again, it's mixed medium, water and oil. I used it as a method of creating art without ever painting it.
Wow. That's crazy.
It's crazy, right?
Yeah.
I do that kind of stuff. But again, that's because you play.
Right.
Oh, this is the best one. I was a kid and I used to go to my sister's bedroom, right? And I'd see this beam of light, right? And I'd pound on the bed, right? And the dust particles start to fly. And to me, they were like stars. My mom comes with a vacuum cleaner. I said, Mom, you took my stars away. Why did you do this, right? Oh. I'm having fun creating my universe, and you come on and suck it out.
That is funny. That's a hoot.
It is. I mean, you can totally visualize.
Right?
Oh, you can visualize. You see particles flying in a beam of light, right?
Yeah.
And again, this is the kind of thing that is totally unplanned, just entertaining yourself, keeping yourself busy, and entertaining my baby sisters. I kept them busy doing these things.
Yeah. So right now, for our listeners, as you got engaged in this conversation, we are in the heart of the art district on Santa Fe at the studio and gallery of Georgia Amar. Mm-hmm. Thank you so much, Georgia, for allowing us to have this time with you today, because I know, we're taking you away from your work and you love to just be creating and working.
Oh, this is just another part of my work. It's just as enjoyable.
Just another extension?
Oh, it's the same thing.
Yeah?
There's no difference. My time is very fluid and it's malleable. I can stretch it any direction I want. And again, these are habits. If I am enjoying this thoroughly, it's going to go to its limit. And I will not interrupt it. That's another thing I have acquired as a young kid, an enormous attention span. Incredibly long attention span.
Do you think that's because of the times you grew up in?
Yes. We were not interfered with.
Right.
As long as we don't swear at our parents, we don't insult.
As long as you're respectful.
We are polite, we are home free. You can even do extremely dangerous things, come with broken limbs, but that's never the issue. The issue is basically being decent. As long as you're decent, you're totally free.
And that's opposite of what we experience today. Our children are really, wrapped in bubble wrap and guarded and not allowed that freedom to express themselves and to explore.
I'll tell you how bad it is. And you're totally right. Anybody who thinks they're shaping their kids has to have their heads examined.
Right.
Really. A mind is an independent entity. And if what you're trying to put in it is repulsive to the recipient, you're going to create the opposite result. Mm-hmm. It's better to back off. I remember I was going up an elevator in Toronto, and I had enough time to chat with a 10-year-old girl. And then all of a sudden the door opened and I'm supposed to get out. And she jumps and says, "Can I please have your phone number?" I knew she was not happy with her mom at that moment. She wanted to be with me. That's awesome. And I know these things. I sense them. I see them. And when kids come to me with their eyes beaming with joy and their cheeks are red, waiting for action, and they know they're going to get it. As I said, I don't know how to explain this. It's just the way you develop growing up. I was basically the Mary Poppins of the dozens of kids growing up. When I showed up, everybody was waiting for action.
Right.
Here comes Georgia. The fun begins.
Here comes our toy. Our big toy, a real toy. Oh, you should see. Another time, I think my nieces had a birthday party, and they didn't want the adults in their room. And I, by accident, barged into the room. And all the kids say, "No, you can't come in." And my nieces say, "No, let her in. She is one of us." This is how crazy it is. I can take a 6-month-old baby and make him climb on a fence. And they look at me and they want more.
Right.
I liberate everybody, but I do it intelligently and carefully. And I show them how to do it. And I know they're not going to let me down.
Talk to me about, because you do, you teach art
Yes.
to children. You've run your own art camp,
Mm-hmm.
but there is definitely a thought process or thought that goes into how you engage children. And we've talked about this before, but I want our listeners to kind of...
You see, basically, I don't even give them a chance to shy off or back off. First of all, when I introduce myself, I say, in my place, we do whatever we want, whenever we want. And by the way, there is no punishment. Zero.
Those are the ground rules, if you could even call them rules.
I get a standing ovation for it, automatically. And I have a buzzing bunch of kids who are totally enamored, compliant, fun, free, and extremely high performance. It's very interesting that again is the introduction. The introduction is like, so when I say that, and I say, the only thing I require of you is to be civil and polite. Otherwise, you're home free. You can go to bed when you want. You don't have to eat anything you don't like. You get up when you want and do whatever you want anytime. I have a totally obedient group. I mean,
right.
Yes.
Why wouldn't you? Like, hey, this woman's telling me I can do whatever I want as long as I'm respectful.
So now, some of these kids, now I am on a property, 10 acres in a forest, right? And they want to be on their own. So I say, okay, guys, you go have fun. There is only one condition. When I call your name, I want you to answer back. So I know you are alive and in one piece. So, and I know they come back and they want to show me what they did.
Right.
One of them built me a bridge. I mean, literally a bridge. And they dug a stream. They had a shovel. They dug a little stream and built a bridge. So I stand on the bridge and I look at both footings and it's pretty sturdy. I say, guys, you're going to be great engineers. And it gives them such great joy. They love it. I had a 3-year-old once with me and I had logs this big. And I said, let's go and we're going to collect some wood. We're going to make a fire. So I took one big log and I put it in a wheelbarrow. He got pissed at me. He took it out, put it on the ground, and lifted it up and put it back. I said, sorry, young man, I'm going to be your assistant now.
Oh, that's funny.
You see, I underestimated him.
Which is what adults do
All the time.
All the
time.
time.
Yeah.
Right. So I was like, back off. So I let them do their thing. And I don't establish the parameters, they establish them themselves, like we used to do. We created all the games we did when we were children. We had a social game where we had courts, jails, police, restaurants, and we created our own currency. We go on the street and we pick up paper candy. And the rarest one was the biggest bill. We gave it a value. So the rarest one is like $10,000. I mean, it's a lot of money. And when we had the punishment, it was very interesting. When we saw that the punishment was rough, we changed the rules. I said, okay, we cannot touch the eyes, we cannot touch the ears. There are certain parts of the body we cannot assault. Because if we don't, then the game is over. Injuries, it's not a good thing. Right. And the same, my brother was a banker. Oh yeah, we had loans. These are 7-8-year-old kids. We borrowed money, and somehow he ends up with all the money all the time.
He was figuring out how to do that.
He was a master at it. So in his wisdom, he redistributed it, just like the treasurers do here. When the money is in short supply, you open the spigot. And we did this naturally as children because we wanted the game to continue. Isn't that interesting? I mean, why would we? Because we're having fun.
Right. You don't want the fun to end.
We don't want the fun to end. So these are things, again, we had even the court, when we went to court, and if the judge was very harsh, there will be a time where he is also the plaintiff or the villain, right? Mm-hmm. So we'll take our revenge when the roles are flipped, right?
Right.
And we learned how to become moderate about all of this.
Because you each took your turn.
Yes.
Right.
And we used shoes to play the game. When they go both up, you are basically the king and you have absolute power.
Right.
And if they go down, both of them, you are the bishop or the knight, and you respond to the command of the king. And if one goes up and one down, you're a slave at the mercy of the king. So now the punishment, because we are flipping the dice, anybody can lose his position.
Right.
So now we are learning how to moderate our punishment according to what we previously suffered. And if the punishment was severe, it becomes a revenge in the next game.
Right, yeah.
And we avoid the revenge because it kills the game. Mm-hmm. It all boils down to keeping the game going, right? So very interesting stuff. And this you cannot learn, really. You have to live it.
You have to experience it.
You have to experience it, and you have to experience it in your own little world or your child world, like the small world. And we never brought our parents to negotiate or to do arbitration for us. We did all this between ourselves.
So what age range?
That would be from 3 years old to 13 years old.
Right.
Lots of kids and nephews, nieces, and it becomes like having a full classroom of kids and cousins that show up. It was a wonderful free world. In a way, we didn't want the adults around us. We want them out.
Mm-hmm. Right. If the adults get involved,
It's
Everything
dull.
changes. It's a done
No,
deal, right?
it's dull. It's autocratic. It's like bossy. It kills the fun. Adults are not fun.
They aren't.
No, they become too serious and they lose the gameful. One day I was walking with some people from, some officials downtown, and I was in that park area by the Capitol.
Civic Center Park there?
Yeah. And the little boy was running, and I kind of ran towards him like I was going to trap him. And everybody was laughing. Who is this adult playing with the kid who is enjoying the chase? Some parents would think I'm going to kidnap them, but it's a big crowd. I mean, how can they? If they react badly, I mean, they are terrible. I feel sorry for the kid, actually.
Right? Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, can't you have a sense of humor? Can't you see the fun?
Well, that's what you mentioned earlier. This total control of children and these rigid programs they put them in are not the best thing for them. The playtime is so important. You know who said that? Bertrand Russell, the mathematician, British mathematician. He said, if you want great leaders, you got to let the kids go wild when they are young.
Right.
So they get all that of their system.
And there's a movement to remove like recess from schools. And then you expect these kids to sit in the chair for, whatever it is, 6 hours or whatever, and not release that energy. Well, what's that going to do?
I was the only person who could teach a nephew of mine how to read Hebrew for his bar mitzvah. And the way I did it, it was like 5 minutes of learning and 20 minutes of play. I know he loves basketball. So, okay, Eric, we're going to learn this, and you're going to play this much. And I got him to learn the whole thing. But the playtime was bigger than the learning time. But there is a way to do it. But you have to be patient. I was always patient with kids. I was enormously patient because I kind of studied them, their abilities, how they figure things out. It's observation and learning at the same time. Mm-hmm. And I basically react to what they do rather than impose myself on them. And they like it. They don't want me to impose things. They just want me to be there to feel secure. Mm-hmm. But I wouldn't interfere.
And that's really the role that adults should play.
Right. I don't know how you grew up. How did you grow up yourself?
Yeah, grew up in a small town in South Dakota. I was the only child. And
then you were spoiled.
I was spoiled. Yeah, there's no doubt about that. And still spoiled today.
She's got your number, man.
You're too happy. Way too happy.
Oh, thank you.
And so what? How?
So when growing up, I had friends and stuff we played with, but a lot of time you're by yourself. So you make up games. Your imagination just runs wild. That's how you experience life when you're an only child. If you're around a group of kids, it was a lot of fun, and we had a great time. I really enjoyed just being alone and having a great imagination,
Right.
It's just fun.
Exploration.
Right.
You explore yourself. You also explore your limits So as a single child in the Dakotas, it's a lot of space.
Right, yeah.
How did you deal? So did you play a lot outdoors?
We could go outside and our parents didn't have a clue what we were doing until dark.
That's right. And you know what? That's the way it used to be before we had all this technology.
Right.
The technology is a wonderful thing and it's great, but it has taken away from the creativity. Real creativity is not something you learn from technology.
Right.
You learn it from a complex set of experiences that deal with all the senses, not just one. So were your parents kind to you?
Yeah. I would say I had a wonderful childhood. I never was beat or anything like that.
Oh, you're lucky.
Oh, I was. I mean, not that I didn't have discipline in my life, but when I think back, it was just a wonderful childhood. My dad worked a lot. The other thing was we had horses. And so there was that experience.
Having animals in a household is even more important than having siblings, because when you have that relationship with animals, it's a huge learning experience too.
Yeah.
It's wonderful. You're lucky. And how was your mom?
She was good. She was. What's funny is, I mean, she's very. So, like, she was the librarian at the elementary school, right?
Oh, that's
so. And being the kid of the librarian, I couldn't pull any punches. She was just like very stern, and this is the way it is. But just just gave me a lot of, like you said, kind of a lot of space. I just can't think of like really, really bad times growing up.
And so your parents allowed all the kids to visit you at home and play with you?
Yeah, there was a fair amount. I mean, I don't think our house was the neighborhood gathering place. I think there were other friends, but definitely friends came in and went.
Was it a rural upbringing?
Yeah, well, the town was about 3,000 people. We lived on the edge of town.
Oh, that's a nice size.
Yeah.
You have a lot of freedom.
Yeah.
How about you?
So I had a great childhood too. I grew up in Fairbanks, Alaska.
Oh, Alaska, that's another world.
And,
wow.
Just being surrounded by the vastness of forests and mountains and rivers. I mean, I think from a young age, you're just awestruck by it, and
I wish that.
And you have a lot of opportunity, a lot of freedom in that kind of environment to go explore. So like Wes, my parents gave me a lot of freedom to just go and be a kid and, build tree houses or go ride bikes all day. And
that's why you're creative people. It's amazing to me. This is actually something that we have lost. This is the last generation of this kind of living.
I think you're right.
And how do you balance it? I mean, one thing I learned from Israel, which was very interesting. When I first landed there, I was maybe 16, and we had a principal from Alsace-Lorraine, a French guy, who's an Orthodox Jew. And he says, by the way, boys and girls should be able to shower in mixed showers. We have no problem with that. And he was so liberal. This is an Orthodox Jew. And I asked him, why are you doing this? And he said, because we don't want wimps. We don't want wimps. And then what they did, they sent us on a bus tour for, I think, 10 days to explore every part of the country. So now we are attached to all of it, not just our state or our region or our city. And I think we should do the same thing here. Why should we ostracize the Californians and the East Coast and we pit each other against?
Right. Region to region.
Region to region, as opposed to let's enjoy every square inch of this land and all the people in it. And that was a very interesting experiment. They knew what to do. They even gave us pocket money. And we were free to attend classes or not attend them.
Wow, that is interesting.
Nobody missed a class because we were free to do whatever we want. It was extraordinary. A totally different system than here. Total freedom. And that's why the Israeli army is so good, because they're not necessarily obedient soldiers. They have the freedom to make decisions on their own too, because your bosses might not be there when you are in a position where you have to make a decision. You got to make it on your own.
And they're trusting you to make the right decision.
Right, and they trust you to be like a leader on your own, even if it's a leader of one or two people. You have the freedom to make those decisions on your own. And I would govern the same way if I had to do something like that. Now, Alaska, tell me something about it. Is it, that's one place I want to visit.
You should go. You and Jack should go.
It's a very pristine world, right? Is it pristine?
I think much more so than here. The air is fresher. But, there's industry there. The oil and gas industry. And, they've had environmental problems and, there with like the Valdez oil spill. But I think when you're in that environment, you have an appreciation for nature.
Oh, God, yeah.
And we always had kind of a saying in Alaska that if you go to Alaska, you're running to something or away from something, but you're in search of something.
Yes.
There's something that draws you to it. And people either love it or hate it. It filters people out pretty quick.
Yes. The resilient ones will. I mean, how about the absence of sunlight?
That definitely affects people. People don't realize just how much it affects people not having the sun. Come springtime, after you've been in the throes of winter,
the spring fever,
the cold and the darkness, that's when like the crazy things come to light. You're like, they find somebody murdered in a cabin in the middle of nowhere, or they start pulling people out of the river.
I can imagine that.
Yeah.
It's spring fever at its maximum.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
And when the days start to get longer, we're past the solstice now, and so the days are getting longer. By the time May rolls around and everything started to melt and it's starting to become life is sprung back, it's go for the next few months until winter rolls around again.
I can't believe that, because in Canada, like,
it's similar.
Yeah, it's a little bit similar. I follow the rhythm of the sun. In the summer, I get up at 4, 5, and I go to bed at 11. But in here, I do the same thing with the rhythm of the sun. The light and dark. It's a normal rhythm. The summers are very long and extremely productive.
Yeah, you get that sense when summer rolls around in Alaska.
Yes.
You feel like you just go 24/7 for the next 3 months until it starts to get dark again. The darkness starts to creep in. It starts to get a little bit colder.
So how do they have? Do they struggle with depression?
I think so. Yeah, for sure. There's, I think there's a lot of alcohol abuse, alcoholism, drug use, and that's, just like anywhere. That's the way that people figure out how to negotiate those months of cold and darkness. They start to self-medicate.
Wow.
And, growing up...
And I don't blame them, because it is depressing not seeing the sun. I know in Sweden and Denmark, in the Nordic countries, they allow people to brew their own beer, because the beer has something in it that kind of offsets that depressed state. They actually encourage people to drink beer. I don't know the specific reason for it. I forgot it. But I know they allow it. They allow people to make their own brew, because it contains something that makes them a little happier and offsets the depression. Maybe that's why also they are creative people, and extremes tend to also force us to go beyond what we know, right?
Right, yeah.
Oh, wow. And your parents were born there too?
My parents are from Ohio, and I was born in Ohio. I was adopted. And my dad worked in the oil and gas industry. And so we ended up moving to Alaska during the height of the Alaska pipeline being built.
Right.
He was up there he was a service manager for the company he worked for.
It's interesting, because Alaska, I remember in my French literature text, Voltaire, the famous Voltaire, he said, Alaska, Oh, it's a few acres of ice. We don't need it. Right? Give it away. They didn't realize that it was going to be rich in oil. But it was funny how they looked at this thing. Oh, Alaska. And the same with Canada. Oh, like acreage of ice. Oh, yeah. Let them have it.
Right. They didn't realize the potential, the natural resources that were going to be available.
All I know is that if Canadians want to get retaliation on the U.S., they'll send them one of those freezing northern Arctic front. Freeze them in their tracks. Right? Don't mess around with them. Oh, the cold. It is debilitating. But it's magical too.
There is magic. There's something special about being in that environment, in the coldness. There's a stillness. And I know that you know this. Spending your time in Canada.
Yes.
There's a quietness that you can't even, I don't know that you can,
you
can't even verbalize it. Like you have to experience it firsthand.
Right. No, not a sound from birds, bugs. It's silent. The leaves, you don't hear the harsh thing. It's quiet, you're right. And brutally and friendly. If you go out for too long, you might lose your ear if you scratch it.
Right? No, that's true. Yeah.
But those days are now. I used to be. The winters were very long. It stretched till almost the end of June.
Wow.
And you could still see in June some snow in the shaded areas of the forest. Mm-hmm. Now it could be 80 degrees in April. Mm-hmm. That's shocking.
That is shocking.
It's like 2-3 months ahead. But if I were you guys, I'd buy a nice piece of land in Canada.
Because it's going to be nice up there.
It's going to be the food basket of the U.S.
Right.
It's moving north.
Yeah.
But even that is not totally predictable. Mm-hmm. Right? But for sure, we have now 2 growing seasons instead of 1. So that means our food supplies is going to be larger and more prosperous, really. But again, there is no guarantee it's going to be a coherent, like predicted weather. I've seen, as an artist, I studied my skies for years. And I knew when it started to change. It started 10, 15 years ago, noticeably. But because I spend my outdoors summers outside, I can make the connections. And I know it. And Lake Ontario, by the way, has risen by 3 feet of water. It's a big lake. 3 feet. I was painting. I said, my horizon is a little bit too high today.
Wow.
I didn't know that. That was the reason. It actually moved up. 3 feet for a big lake is enormous amounts of water.
It is enormous.
Yeah. So the pipelines we have now, there should be pipelines for water. So maybe they should retrofit them with a parallel pipe inside just to get water from the north, to drop it here.
That's so funny because I used to think about, in South Dakota, we get lots of rain and, we, especially on the east side of the river, we have multiple cuttings of alfalfa. And then, you'd have the droughts down in Texas. And it was just like, why can't we just ship water south and help irrigate crops?
But that is the crisis of the future. It's real. Mm-hmm. And I remember I used to work as a student when I was in university for Environment Canada. I had a guaranteed job all year, a day and a half. I was able to buy a piece of land, eat filet mignon every day, and have a brand new car and a personal apartment. And just with a 1.5 day of work, I was paid 6 times the minimum wage. And my job was to chat in French. with civil servants, the high civil servants, because when it became officially bilingual with Pierre Trudeau, the father, right? Everybody that was in high positions had to go back to school to learn French. And I was paid to chat with them to practice. And when they pounded on the tables in that conversation, I knew they got it. They are speaking French and being pissed in French. I mean, it was
You're not really you don't get French until you're pounding on the table.
yeah. And you gesture and you express your emotions, right?
Right.
A little theater, right? And you know what? It's interesting because they loved those 2 hours a week. They were waiting for them, because that's another thing I would introduce if I was the president of a large corporation. I would have a few outsiders that come in and talk to the CEOs like we were when we were students. We come with a fresh perspective and we got them engaged and we throw them off their feet. I think it's a cool thing to do, to break the monotony.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? And they loved to show me off what they learned. So I knew more about climate change from those years. Everything they predicted, they discussed with me.
Because these people were predicting weather, they're weathermen?
Yes, that's their job. And they predicted everything that is happening today to the iota, and is happening faster than they even predicted. But they were dead on. And I say, so what do you do with your report? They said, we do nothing because our job is just to report. I said, but that's not fair. If you have all this knowledge, it should be followed by execution, all right? And this is what's wrong with us here too. A report is not satisfying. It's got to be followed with action. And Canada is better at it than the US. They actually implement things. Sometimes we are pissed that they shove it down our throats, but we can't complain too much because it makes so much sense. So you can't reject something that makes sense.
Right. You can't argue with truth.
You can argue the truth, right? Here, I don't like the invasion of religion. If it was me, I'll cut everything out. I don't want religion in my life, and I don't need God to behave. Literally. If I need God to behave, then I have no brains. Or we have no brains. And who the hell are they to tell us what to do? No, they tell you you're born free, and then all of a sudden this God comes and dictates what you should do? Hell with that. I became an atheist at the age of 12, 13.
Really?
Oh, absolutely. And you know what? It was the happiest day of my life.
Why is that?
Because when I realized it, I always doubted it since I was born. As a girl, in order to understand the truth, you're going to have to talk to the most oppressed.
Right. Okay.
Right? Mm-hmm. You don't go to the ones who are free and dictate. You talk to the ones who are below or in the shadow. As a girl, you don't have the same privileges as boys. So you're already at a disadvantage. And you have a God that enforces that iniquity. It doesn't sit well. So I go to my dad and I say, Dad, I have a hard time believing in a God that is good to men and lousy to girls and women. I'm sorry, I cannot convince myself. That's not going to work for me. Too bad. I think he told my mom I wasn't his genetic pool.
Oh, man.
And I say, I'm glad I am not.
Your story is so fascinating. Tell me about your childhood, where you grew up, where you were born, where you grew up, and some of your education.
Yeah, I grew up in Morocco, in a small town called Mogador, which was basically a Portuguese fort built in the 1500s. And it has ramparts like the old castles in Europe. The whole city is inside. And when you walk at the city limit, you're inside those big castle walls and the street. And that's it. And the city is inside. It's a presqu'île. So it's a harbor.
Okay.
And it's a natural harbor. And we used to see American sailors, British, French. They come to town for their visits. They cruise around the world. And I remember the fish market. The fish market was so phenomenal. It's like better than the Museum of Natural History. Oh, it's like species of fish, from sharks to every creature in the ocean showed up by the mountains. And it disappears at the end of the day. And the next crop comes in, the next one. So you don't even need the fridge because you eat everything fresh every day.
So you're not going to the supermarket and buying a week's worth of food.
No.
Everything is done in these markets
fresh
and you buy it on a
every
daily
single
basis.
Day. And I liked the idea too that I was looking forward to seasonal fruits. I don't want strawberries all year long. I want them when they show up. So it's the anticipation of it. It's going to be strawberry time, cherry time. And so you anticipate all that. And when they show up, you're very happy. So to have this false sense of abundance is not very good because it doesn't respect the natural cycle. In a way, we become blasé. I can eat anything I want. And you know what? I lost my appetite. I want to look forward to it. Sardines? Oh boy. Sardines, first of all, they are this big. Huge. I mean, huge for their size. Tasty. We ate them only barbecued. It's again seasonal. The sardine season, the orange season. It's just a very nice rhythm. And you know what season it is by what shows up in the supermarket. We have lost these frames of references.
We've upset the balance.
Right, totally upset it. We used to look forward to the first clementines or the first olives that show up. There's something nice about that anticipation. And now it's gone because it's at the tip of your finger anytime you want it. It's not the same. There is no struggle to get it. And I loved the market. The merchants made sure it's well displayed. And it was fun. A lot of hustle, bustle, action. Spices, you don't buy them in jars like this. They come in big burlap bags, huge bags. And you go to the market, the spice market, you're dizzy from the fragrance of things. It was an experience. You know who told me this too? The president of Quizno, the spouse. Uh-huh. She went to Tangier. She said, I have never seen some of the most exciting fish market I've ever seen in my life in Tangier. I said, well, that's the way it is all over Morocco. These big shipments of fish, abundance galore, lots of abundance. And abundance is good, creates peace. And I tested my theory too. In my place in Canada, in my land, I bring lots of food for the birds and everybody. So when I have tons of it, the prey and the predator eat side by side. Interesting. A little weary, but they still eat side by side. And then I squeeze the food supply a little bit at a time until some species chase the other ones, until I shrink the supply even more, and the same species chase each other. And the strongest one and the meanest one get the food first. natural cycle.
Right.
And to me, it's like, wow, abundance is a good concept.
But it was abundance seasonally. So you'd have an abundance of sardines for one season, an abundance of something else for another season.
Right. But it's abundance all year in different produce or food, right?
Right.
And the food was very tasty, and they didn't use fertilizer. They didn't use chemicals.
Right.
And sometimes you eat an apple or a pear, and you'll find a little worm inside. People just cut it out and they eat it.
Right. Big deal, right?
It's not a big deal. It's like, it's normal. And so we learned how to open things. We don't bite them right. You open your fruit before you eat it, because you never know what you're going to find out inside. 99% of the time, it's pretty clean. So why do we use all that stuff? And plus, those little creatures have the right to eat some of it too, right? They have a job to do. And why do we kill them? I have to say something that has been very bothersome to me in the last few years. The sound of the forest is gone. When I first bought the land, it was like I couldn't sleep. It was busy with sound, lots of sound. All kinds of night creatures popping up, and communication, and very chatty and very busy. I don't hear a thing these days. Those creatures are gone. And it's like, what happened to all these insects that were populating the forest? It's not a very good sign.
No, it's not.
Right.
That means the food supply for some species has disappeared. And the whole chain that feeds from that is going to go too.
Yeah.
So, as I say, to me, I am not very happy with it. And we think we are the greatest thing the world has created, but everything has an equal job to do. And we are actually the worst of the species. We are like pigs too. We go beyond what we need.
Right.
Yeah, we're wasteful. We're wasteful animals.
Yes, totally. But again, that's because it serves some industries, but it doesn't serve anything else.
Well, and even the Bible said it, the Christian teachings about...
I know my Bible.
Right. So the teachings is we have dominion over the beast.
Oh, I know that. That was the biggest thing. That's right. That was the most arrogant statement I've ever read. By the way, I know my Bible inside out in the ancient Aramaic language.
Wow, really?
Yep. And I read all the commentaries.
So how many languages do you?
4.
4?
Yeah. Hebrew, Arabic, French, and English.
Wow.
And so I read all the commentaries about the Bible from ancient time to the 20th century. By the time I was 16 years old.
Right.
My principal used to take me to debate with the greatest scholars in Europe. When they showed up, I was his little David dealing with the Goliath.
Is that right? That's so funny.
Oh, he loved it. I used to squeeze them. One question and one word. He loved it. Each time I did this, I see a grin on his face. He just took me like a weapon.
Oh my God.
He was outrageous. He liked me. And he's an Orthodox Jew. He was so smart. He was my principal the first time. And then he gives me this smile. He said, and by the way, I'm going to be your French literature teacher too. Oh no! I'm going to be in big trouble. So now, I said, holy smoke, how am I going to deal with this issue now? I have to get him in the palm of my hand somehow, because he's my principal and my teacher. That's serious stuff. So we had an essay to write, and I took a quote from Blaise Pascal. Man is neither an angel nor a beast, but when he wants to become an angel, he becomes a beast. Very serious thought, right? So I meditated on it, walking in the forest in Jerusalem. I wrote the whole essay in my head, came down, put it in paper. My first paper, right, with this guy. He hands all the papers, and mine is the last, so I'm in trouble. So, always in trouble. So he hands it to me. Before he hands it to me, he says, I cannot teach you how to write. I cannot teach you how to think. You don't even have to attend my classes, but it will be a privilege to have you here.
Oh, wow.
Do you think I missed a class?
Not at all.
Never. I was stunned. He knew that. And so before I left Israel, I went to his office, and he politely said to me, I hope you do something for our people. I said, sir, my shoulders are very small and I'm not very heavy. I cannot carry such burdens. I'm going to do what I want to do, and if it helps others, I'll be very delighted. But I'm ethical to begin with, so it's going to work out fine.
Oh, man.
This is what I dealt with. Another teacher, this is like now in junior high, I hand the paper. I was the last of the class in almost everything in elementary school. I wasn't good. I was good in math. I excelled in math, actually, and geometry. And the rest is like boring, right? And then now I'm in junior high, and I decided I don't like my image of myself. So I went to my mom, and I said, Mom, I would like $50. What are you going to do with $50? Oh, I'm going to buy 3 dictionaries because I have to catch up. I'm way behind in school, and I never catch up. In 1 month, I studied all the grammar. What I needed was the definitions. Once I figured out the definitions and the rules, in 1 month, I was from the last of the class to the top in every single subject matter, just like that. And the principal was stunned. They didn't believe me. They thought I was cheating. I said, you lock me up in a room and send me a paper to write or whatever. I taught myself stylistics too, on my own. I read some cool authors, and I look at the structure of their sentences, and I would use the same structure, but with my own words, with my own adjectives, subjects, pronouns, and it sounded so good. So the teacher said, the first essay again, she looks at me and she says, we don't find the Lord Byrons on the street every day. I said, Madam, I never said that. But this is interesting how, and that's the time where this happened just after I discovered art. The first time I did art, I was so good at it, I stunned myself. And I said, wow, if I'm good at this, I should be good in everything I do. And that's what gave me the incentive to catch up. The fact that I was able to do master work at 13. 13,
okay.
13, I was working like the masters. I couldn't believe I could even do that. I never thought I never had a class. A friend of my brother gave me a book with 100 biographies of the great masters. 100. 1 page, an image, and the bio. And when I saw that, my heart sank. I said, wow, I think I can do this. I looked at it, and I just knew what to do with it. And I did it, and I blew the teachers. It says, you can't paint like this out of the blue. Again, you see, the motivation came from having a bad self-image of myself. I said, this is not me. I could do better. And I didn't wait for anybody to tell me. I did it on my own.
So do you think we're an artistic and maybe multiple subject matters, like a...
This is a sort of Renaissance kind of...
Right.
It's basically, we had a very classical education.
Okay.
And when you have a classical education, everything is equal. Every subject matter is important.
And explain this, because I don't think people in this day and age necessarily know what that entails.
Well, it entails, again, believing authentically. You don't prejudge something before you know what it is. And that's exactly, prejudice is actually prejudgment.
Right.
We judge before we know something. But without that overall classical education, which covers all the subject matters, it gives you frames of reference that are so wide. So you can actually make connections between things that appear disconnected. But without that knowledge prior to that, you can't make associations. And art is basically the best thing for synthesizing all knowledge. Art, you need your chemistry, you need your geometry, you need your mathematics, you need everything. Mm-hmm. Paint is a pigment, and you need your geology. How do you get these stones? It's a very complex subject matter, and that's why they call it fine art, because it requires a very solid foundation in different subject matters, so you can actually put them together. And I look at art as a necessary thing for kids. Mm-hmm. And fortunately, we cannot put a dollar value on art because it's not, you cannot put it, but without it, we'll be a neurotic society.
And I would even think you would need an understanding of humanity.
Oh, absolutely.
Because you're communicating to your fellow man, and so you got to understand how person thinks or how they feel, right?
Yes. And in a way, even the great thinkers, even Churchill, Victor Hugo, Churchill said if he had his choice, he would be a painter. Mm-hmm. Victor Hugo too. His choice would have been to be a painter. All the great minds wanted to be artists because, I don't know, there's something magical about it. And so that's why it's important to have the arts in school. Without the humanity, we'll become beasts.
When we look back at like distant cultures, mm-hmm. it's the art we look at.
That's right.
Or the literature, which is another form of art.
You know, you hit it right on the nail. It's when I read the history of civilization, it was identical to the history of architecture and the history of art. So whatever you study in this field, you arrive to the same conclusion. It's always the arts. So when you study architecture, you study art. When you study art, you study history. You study science. You study everything. So it's very interesting that America has not given enough value to the arts, and it might be our downfall. And also they're not teaching it enough. Like I look at the art today, the graffiti art, it's loud, it's angry, it's aggressive. There is no knowledge of color theory. Mm-hmm. It clashes. It's annoying to the eye. It's not peaceful.
But it's reflective of what they're feeling, isn't it?
Exactly.
Of where we're at as a culture and in our history, right? Mm-hmm.
A disconnect in anger and
frustration. A lot
frustration.
More anger, let's say, than the Fauvists, which are Cézanne, Gauguin. They call them Fauvists, like beasts.
Right.
The artistic beasts of their time. Like the graffiti artists of today, basically. And we have to bring more of that. I see that when I teach. There's such a peaceful feeling in people's being that they're content when they create things, mm-hmm. and they're happy, they're focused, and the time flies for them. They're absorbed. It's a beautiful thing to watch people making things. and how they solve the problems, how they figure them out. And I give them all the time to do that. I never interfere.
People need that sense of accomplishment.
Yes.
I think you can get it from different facets, but using technology, I don't think has that same. It's not the same engagement. It's not the same feeling as doing something that's tactile and being connected in some way.
The tactile is you're dealing with resistance. You cannot break the rules of physics.
Right.
Yeah, it'll come back at you, right? But technology is great once you have the foundation of it on an empirical level. Then it's very useful.
Right. It's a tool.
It's a tool, right. And you cannot make the tool the end product.
I was just going to... That's totally right on. I mean...
It's like it has become something on its own. That it's like, imagine this. The only time I see apples is on the computer, an image. So I know it's an apple, but I don't know how it tastes. I don't know what texture it is, how sweet, how bitter, how it feels. So all that information is lost when it's reduced to an image. So in fact, it becomes totally useless. And somebody said to me once, "You can't compare apples and oranges." And I said, "Yes, sir, I can. And I'm going to show you how and how easy it is. They are fruits, they grow on trees, they reproduce, they have texture, they are sweet, they are this, they are that." And I said, yes, you can compare them. Don't tell me you can't. Can't is categorical. So an apple is not a vegetable. It's a fruit like oranges and like tangerines and all of them. They're juicy, they're like this, they're like that, right? And so that expression is actually very limiting, right?
Right.
I never bought that. I don't buy this kind of easy answers.
And that's what our whole society revolves around these days. Everybody wants everything tied up in this nice, neat little package.
Right.
They don't want to have to really analyze and think about the complicated aspects of it.
And sometimes the definitions become obstacles on their own. So things have to be redefined. I was telling somebody yesterday or the day before, I didn't learn much past the age of 16. I had read all the classics, the Greeks, the Romans, history. I knew my Bible inside out. I even know passages by heart. And the rest is actually irrelevant. But what is interesting is that as time goes by, I am reinterpreted all that knowledge. And it's always reshaped and redefined. So our definitions of things are not permanent. They shift with our experience in life, our age, our experiences. So really what we do all the time is redefine things to suit the time we're in and our present experience. It's a continuous learning, really, and redefining mostly. To me, this is all fascinating. That's why I'm a happy person, because I'm busy reassessing things all the time. And I think if we don't do that, to me, it's a sign of laziness or a sign of indifference. And I don't like indifference. And I don't like laziness.
Do you see a lot of that indifference in art of today?
Oh, absolutely. There is people who shouldn't even be in it. But it's not.
So you're saying that not everybody can be an artist?
Everybody can be an artist to a certain degree. But to become really special, it requires a lot more just than doodling. You see, here is a painter. He does these naive characters. And I like the characters, but I don't like the landscape. He's not good at it. And I told him that. I said, this is interpretation. This lacks skill. And it's very obvious to a viewer. But because it's naive in art, like the way he depicts those scenes with the people sitting in the cafe, has its own charm and it's a message. But the landscape here is not a good message because it tells me it's clumsy. So you can get away with that for certain things, but not all the things. But I love the naive work because it's a storytelling.
So even someone that doesn't really know art that much, even with the untrained eye, so to speak, people pick up on that subconsciously.
Oh, yes, they do. Because we see. Once you see it, it's interesting, guys. I look at kids' art and they have these big, long figures and tall legs. Well, that's the perspective of a baby. When they look at you, you're a tower. So their rendition is totally accurate. It's a bit childish, but the perspective is right.
It's honest.
It's honest and it's real.
You grew up in a big family.
Oh, we are big. Oh, yeah, very big. So again, growing up in a big family and being number 10 out of 12, you imagine the crushing order. Right. Hey, guys, can you move a little bit so I can see some sunshine too? They tend to take the oxygen out. But we create groups, like the difference in age can be 20 years. It's a significant difference. So I associate more with the younger ones and a couple of older than me. The rest, I don't really know. Mm-hmm. And I didn't like them. You know why? I made the connection recently that the members of my family who were born during the war and those who were born after the war was over, the younger ones are much nicer than the older ones. Does that make sense? And I think it has to do with that period of history where the changes were radical.
Right.
The world became more free, even intellectually freer, less prejudice, less... I didn't know them too well. Mm-hmm. But you learn how to deal with people. That teaches you interaction. I can be in a crowd of tons of people and I still have my focus intact. I know exactly where I want to be. And if it's interesting, I'll join. If it's not, I'll continue. But they were not the nicest people. They were selfish. And that's also a bit from my father. My father is a little bit like Trump. Big foul mouth. Very successful. But the macho type guy, like the patriarch, well, I'll tell you, it didn't work too well for him. And I remember when I was a kid, my mom used to tell him many, many times, "You're chasing your kids away." She knew. And they all left very young, 14, 15 years old, took off for Europe. And we ended up in Canada and the US. The interesting thing about it is that, again, the younger ones are the most successful because we didn't depend on my dad. The older ones expected his fortune, and we just said, we don't want anything to do with it. And you know what? They are terrible because, as I say, we, the young ones who never expected anything from our parents, are the most successful.
So you followed some of your siblings. That's how you ended up
right
coming
and
over to America and then to Canada.
Right.
And then you decided to go to university there? Or
yeah, university.
Was that always the plan?
Well, university was always my goal.
Okay.
That's the first thing. Now, the difference is that I tried to go to university in New York. It was so expensive. I couldn't afford it. I have no money. And I would never call home for a dime.
You had already kind of rejected that whole thing, right?
Rejected that whole thing.
You're done.
I don't want your help. I want to do things on my own, and I'll eat dried molded toast, but I won't call for filet. I'm done with that. And you know what? It felt happy, even not having all those luxuries of life that we used to. It was wonderful to be free.
Yeah, you weren't tethered to your
this
father.
Is great. I am happy eating a rotten toast, but look at what I did. Right? It doesn't feel like rotten toast. It feels like a great dessert. When you achieve something, that's how it feels. I would.
There's no substitute for that feeling of accomplishment.
None of it. That's how I learned when I teach. I let the kids struggle. I never help them. Because if I help them, I rob them of their victory. It becomes, they know I intervened. And I know it doesn't taste as good.
And that's what's missing in our education system today, right?
Yeah, we should allow for struggle. It's very important. As I say, if you make everything easy for them, we rob them of their enthusiasm.
I think it goes back to, I believe it's Thomas Jefferson. He was basically saying, you shouldn't teach people what to think. You should teach them how to think.
Right. That's exactly.
We're robbing them of teaching them how to think. We're telling them what to think.
Right. And what to do.
Right.
I never tell them what to do. And I love people. I know immediately when they come to help me, if they have initiative or they don't. If they wait for me to instruct, it's a burden for me. So I say, I want you to take initiative, do things. You don't have to ask me, just do it. And those who do and they pick up very quickly, I know they're going to be successful. And those who wait for the next order or command are going to be very passive. And they have a certain place in society, but they're not going to be moving things.
Do you think that you can teach that to an older person?
It's more difficult. It will take a lot of energy.
Because you kind of have to reprogram them, right?
Reprogramming is very difficult. That's why I think it goes out. The flexibility kind of starts to dwindle after puberty. Before puberty, we are very fluid. After puberty, we start to settle down, but we can still grow up. It's, again, a habit. We have to make thinking a habit. You look at it and teach critical thinking. Oh, yeah. I remember when... in a Jewish environment, right? The parent come to me and say, I am very worried my son doesn't ask questions. That's why they are smart, because they are forced to think. Mm-hmm. The Jews are very critical thinkers. It's the tradition. You don't ask questions, the parent is worried. Because you're going to be a dependent and you'll be at the mercy of other people's will and control. So for that, I think this is the only thing I picked up from my dad. I have his independence, and my mom too. They are very independent. They'll break the rules if they have to. It's not that they are not rigid, but they are traditional. Very traditional. And I prefer my grandfather. I never knew him, but I heard about him. He was a cool guy. I wished he was my dad, not my dad. My dad, I'll call him Al Capone. He was rough. He was rough, and it could be very nice. It was paradise when he was in a good mood, and it was hell when he's
he was
not
angry.
It's a stage. He can flip from a nice mood into a rage without notice. That was very shocking to me. I never was close to him, ever. I wouldn't even come close like this. And before I left, I didn't even want to kiss him. He said, well, I can have a kiss. And So, okay, kiss him on the cheek. Goodbye. I couldn't wait to get out.
So this whole time, from 13 on, you were creating art.
Yes.
Even when you were studying other things at
Exactly.
university,
Yeah.
you were still a creative person and
It's
an
basic,
artist.
yes. And that's a sign that you care for something. I never let go. Even when I was in university, traveling, whatever, I always go back to that. I call it the comfort zone, the happy zone. And that's why if I suggest to people that they should have a hobby early in life or pursue different things till they find what makes them happy. And you don't have to devote 100% of the time as long as you give it sometimes. So when you retire, you're not like, what do I do?
And I see so many people that they've worked a job their entire lives and then they retire and it's like they're sitting around waiting to die. Like, what's the point?
It's exactly right.
And there's a lot of people that literally die after they retire.
Right.
That's right.
One of my English teachers, she retired, and I think it was within a year, she had passed.
Their whole life is defined by this job that they've done their entire life, whether they like it or not.
Right.
And
Right.
then they retire, they don't have any other avocations, any hobbies. And they're just sitting around watching
Yeah.
TV or some other mindless thing.
And what is interesting too is that we also, it's a tradition, like the Europeans have that we have our career. And I have an uncle, for instance, who was a great scholar. And after work, he's a gentleman, businessman, and scholar. So after work, he opened his house to all the kids in town, and they come to study with him and debate. And when he moved to Israel, he was considered a national treasure by the Israeli government because he was the most foremost expert on the Aramaic language, which he learned on his own as a businessman scholar. He did his business, and on the holidays and free time, all the kids were welcome to study with him. And that's, in a way, a form of hobby. So you have to pursue things that you like so you don't become dull and die after you retire, like you said. I think it's important to have activities outside our main activity. For me, recreation is changing activity.
So what kind of activities do you like that continue to
Ice
spark
painting,
inspiration?
landscaping on large scale, conceiving, fixing things, creating things. I just keep busy doing things.
You like to invent things too.
Oh, yeah. I did a lot of stuff. I even had a medical piece of equipment, or a device, and the doctors loved it. I mean, I didn't pursue it because it's too complicated. But when I have a problem, I fix it. And like I say, like I did with the plugs or the windows, right? I do my job, I do my research, I do the drawings, and I'm done. The marketing is not for me. I might even give it to a company to make it real, and I don't want any money for it.
So you just love the process.
I love the process.
But you don't care. After you've done it, you're done with it.
I am done. I've done my job. When you get involved with people who become greedy, they want to control, I lose interest. But that's the way we used to do things. Hobbies were very important in the culture I grew up. They all have their professions, but they have hobbies. My dad had built a workshop inside the house. So all the kids were allowed to play, build things, make things.
They had full access. It wasn't just like his workshop.
No.
The
full
kids
access.
were allowed.
I can go and pick up the tools, play with them.
And he didn't care.
No. And the way they did it, my brothers actually set it up. They put the shadow of every tool. So when you use it, you know where it goes back.
Right. Yeah. I've seen
It was
that in
very
wood
well
shops.
organized.
Yeah.
Extremely well organized. So if the tool isn't there, somebody used it.
Somebody didn't do their job. They didn't put it back.
And Jack is not good that way either. Catastrophic. He doesn't even think. This is the difference between our upbringing and the Americans. I mean, they're not thorough in what they do. Okay, you took this from here, put it back. They don't.
What is that disconnect?
I think they were not trained to do it, because once I don't know, it's another habit.
But I don't think it would. I feel like previous generations probably weren't like that. Or do you disagree in that assessment?
Well,
do you think there's been some kind of loss in giving?
There is a loss in. I think there is a loss of control over how we educate our kids. Now they learn from an iPhone or a computer. They don't need adults around them. So.
But they do, because my kids have both of them have these magical contraptions, these computers that are handheld.
They are amazing.
And,
let's face
right?
it.
They're amazing tools. They make everybody smart. You can be smart. You can look up
definitely.
anything. But yet, and I've had this discussion with other people, but they still come up to me and go, "Hey, how do you do this?" Well, you have that thing in your hand. Google it.
Right.
Right? I mean, I can tell you if I know about it, but I don't know everything about everything.
Right.
So, back in the day, we had encyclopedias, or you had to go to the library.
It was cumbersome.
Yeah, it was cumbersome, but it taught you a lot, I think.
Yes.
It taught you how to do your research.
Yes.
And now it's so accessible, they've become so complacent about it that they don't. And I hear these.
But I like the access.
Oh,
I
yeah,
like to
absolutely.
be able to Google something and get the answer. Now, the problem with that, sometimes with Google, I want a simple answer. They give me zillions of articles.
Right.
I just want a simple answer.
Yeah.
And now I have to read all this stuff with commercials involved, and I lose my interest.
Well, that's a problem when
Right.
they've put in advertising when you're trying to find something.
A simple
we didn't
answer.
we didn't have to worry about it when we were in the library or
Right.
looking through an encyclopedia.
Right.
We didn't have to worry about a pop-up ad
Right.
or whatever.
Right.
But I hear this. I have friends that are college professors, and they say the exact same thing. These kids don't know how to find the information. And I really feel like
I thought that's what they learned from Google.
no, they don't know how to do that. And I thought,
Huh.
at first I thought it was just some weird anomaly that was happening with my own children. And here it is. It's a whole generation of people, I think because they were never forced to look through a card catalog in a library or to look through an encyclopedia or look through at different sources, right? Like it was, if you went to the library and you were researching a subject, you might have to go to 5 different sections of the library. And then you find those books. Then you have to look through the books. You have to find the chapter or the section that's pertinent to what you're researching and disseminate that information. And they don't know how to do that.
I thought that's what you learn right away, because that's what, in order to figure out Google, you have to know how a dictionary works.
Right.
Right?
But they haven't had
Isn't
to
that,
do that.
Yeah,
they don't
but
do
I think they've lost the ability to, like you said, the very basics of research. Like, where do I go to find information? When you can just type it in and it comes up. But the problem is, it's not just that comes up, it's all the other stuff. And then you got to learn how to parse it. And if you don't know how to research and separate, well, truth from fiction or, anything like that, I think you're at a disservice, as a generation.
Very interesting that you said that. I was searching the rules of inheritance in different religions. And the reason for it, I wanted to understand why certain cultures have stringent rules. They cut the females out, everything goes to the boys. And the worst rules are Jews and Christians for inheritance. And the Muslims are actually better for the women.
Really?
Yeah, It was shocking to me to hear that or to read it. Now, from reading those rules, I now understood for the first time why they say prostitution is the oldest profession. Because the women were stripped of everything when the husband died. They had to beg on the street. And I said, wow, this is the cause of all these headaches. It was very shocking to me to read it. And in the Muslim tradition, they made sure they were not in that position because the family mattered to them. But the worst were the Jews and the Christians. They inherit zero. The female and the spouse are literally stripped.
So even though family matters,
right,
the females are second class.
That's right.
Right.
And to realize that, and that's why I do this kind of research. I say, I want to find out, why is this expression even exist? And I went straight for the rules of inheritance somehow.
I'm going to get this wrong, I think, but isn't it in the Hebrew tradition that if the husband dies, the brother takes the wife?
But yeah, that's true too. That's different. That's to keep the family together. I think it's a terrible concept. It was tried. And by the way, yeah, that's true. They can, to keep the family together. Okay. It's not fair to impose that because it's a choice. I don't think it's a good thing. But so a lot of the problems we have or disparities, you always go back to the religious source. Mm-hmm. And it's almost black and white. What the hell? That's very shocking. But that's a fact, right? So now I learned how to, again, if I didn't have the knowledge of my Bible and all these rules, I wouldn't be curious enough to go for it.
Right.
So that's what I mean, the broad knowledge of certain things. The rule of inheritance also were terrible because the firstborn got most of everything, and now you have disputes and you have feuds. All the injustices come from this kind of stuff. Everything that is unjust comes from this, the way they wrote the rules.
So do you think the initial setup of the rule, the intention of it was, well, the oldest one will take care of the younger ones?
Right, exactly. But you know what? That is so false. It is so false. The older one will take advantage of the young in a split second.
Right. Because we're greedy.
Yes.
That's the human condition, right?
That's
Greed.
right.
It's
Greed.
what drives.
Right. Hey, I can inherit all this. Why should I share it?
It's
and it gives me control.
Right.
A very interesting stuff. So now the same problem, continuing with this tradition, during the Second World War II, when the young men came back from war, they found themselves stripped of their inheritance by their siblings because they were absent for a long time. So the French and the Belgian changed the rules of inheritance. Your will is null and void. It's supposed to be split equally between all the siblings. That's when they changed the rules because of the injustice done to those who were away fighting to save them.
Right.
And they come back and they are cleaned out. Yeah, and I heard this from a Belgian woman who came to visit me in the gallery here one day because I was struggling with this concept because of family disputes. Big families are in trouble all the time. Inheritance is wars.
Yeah.
So I was discussing it with them. I said, by the way, this is what they did in Europe. And I'm sharing it with you now. It's very interesting stuff, how rules change and how they fix them. And if they don't fix them, that means they want to perpetuate the injustice and the inequities, right? Mm-hmm. Isn't that amazing?
It is amazing. So tell me this. How did the evolution take place with your art? Because you work in a multitude of mediums. Mm-hmm. Is that just you getting kind of, not bored, but just interested in a totally different...
I think it's two things, or more than one thing. One is, once I master something, and in order to become anything, you have to master at least one thing. And that one thing that you master establishes a sort of methodology of how you proceed with things, and it teaches you the method on how to do things. But you have to follow it right to the end. So now my work was popular, and some galleries in New York wanted more of it, and I couldn't produce it. So I decided to go for screen printing so I can have multiple images to satisfy them. But then I discovered, hey, I like this too. But the fact that I knew how to paint made me do work like this instantly. I did master work in screen printing the first time, and I got an award of excellence for it after doing it 2 weeks in Toronto.
Wow.
From the Council of the Arts. I submitted a piece and I got an award because I had my knowledge based on my oils. So that's why I say you pursue one thing to its limit so you learn how to deal with it. So now I moved to screen printing. I already have a baggage on how color works, how you mix it. And it's a different dynamic, but the method is still the same. The medium is different.
But all the other rules apply.
Right. The rules apply. And the same, like we discussed, if you know how to use your dictionary to do research, then you could use your computer very intelligently to do research. And it's tremendous for that. If it's not burdened with excessive junk that they put in it. So I like to follow something till I master it and I move to the next.
But it's not boredom.
No. It has nothing.
Which is why I didn't want to use that term, because I knew it wasn't based on that.
No. I love all the mediums. And the safest is oil painting. Screen printing is very, very toxic.
Yeah, and I didn't realize that until we had that conversation.
I did this work 30 years ago. Why I did it 30 years ago? When I did it, I knew I couldn't do it at my age now because it's arduous, extremely toxic, and it requires a lot of physical strength. My squeegees were this big, and you pull them by hand. It's very arduous. I developed abdominal muscles, 6-packs like guys. I was shocked when I was taking a shower. What the hell is this? I went to the doctor next door. I said, sir, I don't think I'm supposed to have this. He looks at me and says, go home, you're very healthy. Thanks. But, so I did the work, the screen printing I sold half of it, and I packed half of it, knowing that 30 years later, I'm going to open it, and I'm going to have a nice surprise. When I opened it, I was shocked how nice it was. Holy shit, did I do this? I couldn't have done this. You must be insane to do this. But I did. And people love it to this day. And I have expert screen printers that come with the magnifying glass to study it. But they have no clue what I can do with it. They just see the flash picture. Wait till I get the dimmer switch. I make that thing move in space.
Is that right?
I can push the background into the foreground and split it in space. And I did it almost instantly because I did that with oils.
Really?
Yeah. I had landscapes where I can simulate. You see, it's a day landscape, and all of a sudden it's a real sunset. How the hell did you do that? I don't know. I can tell you, but you're not going to get it, even if I tell you.
Right.
And you know the thing? I don't hide the techniques because I know they don't have the patience to do it like I do. And it's the mixing. I don't have a palette. I mix as I work. So
wow.
Yeah. And I have that nice stuff. And the brush stroke also. I can make a painting and I change the difference of the direction of the strokes. And as you move, it becomes the thing you see and the rest disappear. And yet it's the same color, and it changes colors on its own, just with the direction of the stroke. Very interesting stuff. Yep.
And it's all self-taught, like
All self-taught exploration. You see, that's why I say, and plus I have a kind of a scientific mind. I have to figure things out. Very important for me to figure out why things work and how they work. I was actually, when I was in science class, natural science, one of my teachers said to me, "You are the only person I think should pursue medicine or science because the kind of questions you ask is way too advanced." In other words, like, one of the questions was, I remember that to this day, he said, the cells in the body change every 7 years. So I said, "Sir, that means if we can extend the life of the cells, we can live much longer. So instead of making them change every 7 years, we can make them change every 10 years or 20 years. And you have this extraordinary longevity in a healthy way." He said, "Yes, you belong in medicine." But then I go to math, and you belong in math.
You went from doing oil painting to screen printing. You related that, which I didn't realize is a pretty toxic process, the screen printing. So you were looking forward enough that you said, okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to produce this body of work. I'm going to sell some of it. I'm going to hold back and store some of it so that later on I can release these occasionally and sell them and continue to generate more income from this art.
I was stunned how successful that was. It's still successful to this day. I sell a lot of the work I did 35 years ago. And
are you still sitting on a fair amount of screen
well,
prints?
I still have a few left.
Yeah, but it's kind of dwindled.
Well, it's coming down. But it did its purpose, and I fulfilled my mission.
So I want to touch a little bit on the glass work that you've done, because you've done some substantial glass work, is that right? Can you talk about that a little bit, and what made you go into the glass work?
Well, actually interesting. From doing screen printing, which is basically a color separation, I was able to jump into a color separation with antique glass. So I built the images with glass the same way I do a screen print.
Okay.
I layer the colors. If I want, let's say, purple, I layer the magenta and the blue. It gives it depth. And it's clean and it's beautiful.
Nobody else does that.
No.
I mean, I've never seen glass work where you layer glass over glass.
Right. And not only that, I layered it. And when I was working on the glass, I didn't know how I was going to put it together. I even figured a method where I can actually suspend it.
Okay.
So it doesn't fall off and block it with transparent glass, but build the next layer, trap it in, and fill up the gaps with transparent so it's self-sustained. Now, when I finished it, I thermoseal it too.
Oh.
So we installed the windows, and they also have R value.
Oh, wow.
Really?
And I send them to the company. They do the seal, and we send them for installation. I told you, I have no clue how I do these things, but I do.
Right.
And I won a competition, and I never cut a piece of glass in my life. And I delivered the project.
You just look at it as a problem.
Yes.
And then you figure a solution for that problem.
I figured it down pat. Right. In case it doesn't work, what do I do next?
Right.
So let's say I have a color suspended in the middle, and there is nothing to hold it in place. So I fill up the gaps with clear. So it stays in place.
Right.
And it can expand and shrink accordingly. But then, lucky for me, I was on Sunday in an industrial park, and a salesman walks in. He said, "Oh, I have this new product. It's called Thin Set." I said, "Really? Show me." I went and picked up 2 pieces. And he says, well, you need a UV light. It's a UV activated emulsion. That is a liquid plastic. So I said, let's test it outside. So I took 2 pieces of clear glass, a small piece, put a drop, exposed it to the sunlight. It fused instantly. Great. That solved my problem.
Serendipity.
Serendipity at its best. But it doesn't fuse certain colors like red and deep greens. So what I did with those, I actually exposed them to the sun right at the angle of the joint. And I got them to work. Crazy stuff, right? This is how I work. And I used to have mirrors to send back the sun into my studio to do the work.
Really?
We keep moving them to get the exposure. But so I didn't want to buy the UV light because it's very dangerous for the eyes. It will make me blind. But the sunlight doesn't do that. So, and it fused the glass at an instant speed. The other one, it was a long exposure. I even tested it. I said, that's not for me. I'm going to stick to the sun. And I don't know how I do these things. I mean, I also created shades from dark to light to almost transparent by cutting the glass, let's say an inch here to a vanishing point, and rebundled it on the edge. And you have this gorgeous progression of shaded colors. You gotta be a little crazy to do this. I have a friend who is, they made a movie about him, very interesting. David Williams, the Pirate Radio.
Oh, right.
He's the author. He is the character. And he was a teacher, math and science teacher, in a school where we met. And I loved him. So he was an amazing writer. I said, David, so I have big project. I said, David, what kind of metal do I use to hold this many pounds? And they said, oh, you need only an eighth of an inch of copper. Oh, great, thanks. And I go ahead and I do the project. But it was like, to me, a source of science information.
Sure.
And this guy, me, and another math teacher quit at the same time. The school, because the principal was too dumb for us. Literally. He accused me of moving the students too fast. Mm-hmm. And he looked at me and he says, well, you're teaching them things in French they don't even learn in English 3 years from now. I said, sir. I said, what are they going to do with their book? I said, put them in the garbage bin. I said, we are writing our book. You told me to teach them French. They are speaking French. They are rating French, and they love it. So now you're going to slow me down because you want to use the book next year?
Right.
We are done in 3 months with all the curriculum for 3 years. I speed things up. Mm-hmm. And you know how fast I teach? It's not even funny. So here I walk into a classroom of only English-speaking kids. They say, oh, you all speak French. And they're all laughing their hearts out. No, madam, we don't. We don't even know one word. I say, really? I'm going to prove you wrong. So I say, give me all the words that end up with I-O-N. Zillions of them. Religion, constitution, composition. I said, they're all French. We just have to sing the song. Now we have the lyrics. Now we're going to have the rhythm.
Right.
Learn the rhythm of the language. Then I teach them other endings that are slightly different. Before they know it, I avail to them more than half their own language in French.
Wow.
That's why they didn't like me.
Mm-hmm.
You see, but kids adore me when I do this. I laugh I mean, I entertain them. They all say, we can't do this. I say, oh yeah, you can? Let's do it. But so David Williams, who is this incredible guy, he also went to Iceland and started the thermal energy for Iceland and heating things up. He was like Isaac Newton, one of those brains, and another mathematician from Alberta. So we went our way, and we just had a ball. We were very. This is not how you treat your best teachers that kids adore and they're cool with.
No.
This is what they're looking for, people like me. And when they show up, they want to slow them down. Sorry, sir. You want a programmer, you hire a programmer. I am a true teacher. And I'm going to progress these kids at the speed they should be going, otherwise they're going to get bored.
That's so true, right? Like,
right.
If you don't make it interesting, or if it seems tedious, kids get bored really easy. You got to keep their attention. You got to engage them.
Right.
And
a lot of behavior issues is the fact that they are bored in class.
The boredom, yes.
And so they act out.
I'm telling you, when I show up, they even tease me too. And so one day I pop up and they say, oh, you don't have us at this period. I walk out. Let's check. Oh, yeah, they have me. I walk back and they are laughing their hearts out. And say, are you going to ground us? I said, no, I should be grounding myself. So they loved it because Jesus said, you're the only teacher who accepts fault. I said, of course I do. How can I not do that? So they are surprised that I actually accept error, mistakes. But the fact that they can fool me made them so happy. And when I was sick one day, the whole class came to visit. And when you have kids demanding their class, they call me, when are you showing up? It's nice.
Right.
So the learning is exponential. 90% of the job is the motivation. I have to admit that it's the only profession I've been in that once I finished school, I had to sleep for 3 hours when I got home. I was drained. I was like empty because you have one brain feeding 20 or 25 of them. It takes a lot of energy, and I can see why. You cannot let go for a few minutes. And you know the way I taught them language, we used to do exercises. We speak Russian, or we speak Greek, and we laugh and say, imagine you go into a restaurant with your friend, and now you're in a Russian place, and you're speaking Russian. And the gestures and the sounds, they sound Ruski, you know. They sound like Russian, but it's not Russian. So making fun of the languages helped teach the rhythm. We just want to fake the rhythm. Mm-hmm. And I had a ball. That's what I'm telling you. It's magic when kids come to you for more. And even to this day, I give them a bone, they go play, and they come back and say, we want more. I give them another idea and let them go. Mm-hmm. And then more and more. It would be deadly for me to just control all that. I'd give them total freedom. And they learned now after, some of them did improvisations for me. I wished I had a camera. They were making fun of me too on the stage. And here I'm sitting. He said, sit down, we're going to entertain you. Making fun of me.
That's funny.
Yeah. Oh man, I'll never forget those holidays. The parents came to pick their kids up. They didn't recognize them. They were content, they were peaceful. They said, what did you do to them?
Right.
And they said, well, maybe you can spend the night here tonight and find out. The parents who were shy became also open all of a sudden. They were too serious. I said, kids, let's get them loosened up. Rigidity is terrible. It atrophies the brain and it kills motivation. I love errors. And this is where, that's another thing when I taught, I say, what I know and what you know is irrelevant to us right now. I love mistakes. And the more mistakes we make, the more we learn. And then if we take a mistake and we turn it into technique, it's art. They love it. No, they're free. They're not afraid. It's wonderful. The first job in teaching is liberation. I heard that from a black woman singer. I never forget it. She said, "You cannot sing if your body is not free." Think about it. You cannot sing if your body is not free. When it's free, it knows what to do. It's liberating. So you need that freedom to expand, to create, and to
express.
grow. And to express, yes. Expression is definitely. And once you eliminate the fear of mistake, it's extraordinary. The results are extraordinary. So where do we learn that making a mistake deserves punishment? How did we fall into mistakes and punishment? It just doesn't work. It's contrary to learning. It's the opposite of learning. How do we fix that, right? That's a big job. I had teachers, art teachers in Denver that begged me to teach them how to teach. I had a whole class of them. And you know what? I was very disappointed by them. They weren't here to learn. They were here to do that thing that the board requires them to do. And I said to myself, this should never teach art to kids. A lot of them don't belong in the teaching.
They don't know how to teach.
They don't know
and
how to
they've been
teach.
programmed to teach in a way that's...
And I can imagine they actually turned the kids off. I saw something. A teacher came to me and she showed me what she did with her kids. A rubbing from, like those reliefs, like they do for the nights in Ireland.
Yeah.
And she brings me 30 identical copies of a Mayan sculpture. And I said, 30 identical images? I'm going to show you what my kids do. 30 individual, exciting works that have nothing to do with each other. And so it's very shocking. So this is it, this is art. I say, you better change this because you're going to turn them off, not only from art, but from real inquiry and real knowledge, real acquisition of knowledge. It's very damaging. Makes sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, teachers are not, a lot of people don't belong in the profession. Some have the knowledge, but they're not good at passing it. People who are good at passing knowledge are the ones who are able to take very complex thought and make them so simple to understand, even a 2-year-old can understand, or a scientist at the same level.
That's a teaching.
That's teaching, yes. You don't make things complicated, you make them simple. And when I taught the grammar or questioning, the art of questioning, I played the 20 questions, the game, but I was teaching them the art of questioning in the French language. How do you structure the question? So, and I find the object we are looking for in advance. I said, we are searching for this. How do you get to figure this out? And we did it in reverse. Instead of you asking, you'd say, well, where is it located? And in space, is it in the north, south, east, west? And then is it human, vegetal, or mineral? And then you break down this information by category, until you pin it down. And they were able to do it in 10 questions. So now, by teaching them the categories of knowledge and how you ask these questions, and I'm teaching them how to write the questions in French, but this is how we did it. Then I asked them for homework, you pick an object that you want to find and ask the questions of how you're going to get it. It's a reverse process. They love it. It's easy to figure out in reverse because now they know how the categories work. But they didn't know before. So you have a section that is, and then I even introduced abstract thought because it was becoming too simple. Right? And so again, that's why I never taught. I quit. I didn't care. I said, you know what? It's not for me. I'm supposed to teach them to be better than me, and they're not allowing that. Screw that.
Right.
They don't deserve me here.
No, if they don't appreciate your time and the energy that you're putting into it, then
yeah, they don't deserve me. And basically, the problem is the management. When the management is good, everything is good. When the principal is pretty much less intelligent than most people in the school, we are in trouble. Because they are afraid for their job. They are afraid of what? Right?
you should be raising up
Yes.
your
And you should
staff of teachers as opposed to trying to, keep a lid on everything so that you're in control.
Yeah, I don't want to be in control. I hate control. I want everybody to be free so I can get my freedom too.
Well, and I think, I think the key for you would be, or to look at how you're teaching, is what results are you getting?
Right.
If the kids are learning at a faster pace, then you should look at that and go, oh, well, this isn't rocket science. Let me try to emulate that in a different classroom,
right,
and free the school of constrictive curriculum if they learn faster.
I
the
think
other way.
These are all models, autocratic models.
Yes.
Where and centralized authority. Those days are over. Those are the kings and queens. They are passé. Mm-hmm. They have no authority. Nobody has any authority, really. We are each other's authority. And when you are better than me, I pull my hat to you and I've joined you instead of resisting you. Hey, thanks. Let's build more. It's an attitude, and it's also, I think it has a lot to do with the level of intelligence that people have. Or if they are really intelligent, they know not to interfere. Even if they are not intelligent, they recognize that, hey, they are better than me. Give them total freedom. That's good management. I don't know. But the problem is, too, the numbers are big. The dynamic changes when the numbers become big. I think that the best is it's like growing in a big family, right? You have your adults, you have the babies, the toddlers, the in-between, all in the same table discussing things. And they all get it. And when they don't get it, they get up and go to play. Mm-hmm. Right?
So let me ask you this question. I think I know the answer already, based on our discussion this afternoon. How do you feel, or what do you feel about a formal art education, which I ask almost every single artist that we've interviewed?
I think it's valid, very valid. It is very important. Again, it's the alphabet. You can't make sentences without your alphabet. The formal education in art is very important because it's your alphabet. Without your alphabet, you cannot structure sentences or words. So it should be part of the curriculum, but we should have a segment in the art education that is formal and a segment that is free. You know what I mean?
But what we're talking about is that should be available from the moment that you go to school until
absolutely.
you graduate. But I guess as far as going to an art school or university, do you think that's valid, or do you think you really? I mean, you did it all self-taught, but
Totally.
based on a really great education where you learned critical thinking and you learned
Right.
you
learn problem solving.
Yeah, problem solving. And I don't know, as a person that went to art school, I learned some of that, but I probably could have done the same thing had taken the initiative and
Right.
kind of done that on my own, my own
That's right.
self-exploration.
That's right. Oh, totally. Absolutely. If you have the desire, like you guys have it, to do your photography, nobody's going to stop you. You don't even have to go to school because you are going to be your master. And you're going to figure it out on your own. Trial and error. That's the beauty of it. And we don't learn anything without making mistakes. And I love mistakes. What I said to my kids, mistakes is the only time there is learning. The known is irrelevant. And even technique and methodology, we arrive at it in a different way. All roads lead to Rome, basically. Doesn't matter which path you take, you'll still end up where you're supposed to go. So there is no one way of doing things. There's a multitude of ways of doing things.
And everyone has their own path
Yes.
to accomplish that.
And some choose the harder path, some choose the easier one. But whichever one they choose, we learn also from, as I said, not just errors, it's also accidental things that happen. A lot of it is accidental or serendipity, and a happy accident. It's cool stuff.
It is cool stuff. What do you suggest for someone that is trying to be an artist full-time? What kind of advice could you give them as far as supporting themselves with their art?
Okay. The problem with artists is that they don't know how to price their work. So the way I teach that is this. You go home, calculate your rent, your food, your clothes, all your expenses, every single expenses you have. Let's say it's 1,000, just for the simplicity of the figure. Or let's say 1,000. So you divide it by 30 days. How much do you need to make a day to do your art? It might be $30. Hey, I can make 2 pieces for $30, pay for my expenses, and I even have $30 left. Instead of asking for 300 and I cannot sell it. And so you build up you can sell, I know that, from 10 to 25 to $30, you can sell all kinds of things. And people will buy it only because you're making an effort. It's a form of encouragement. So the pricing is the key to this. And not everybody has a few $100s to spare. So that's how I did it. I sold amazing work at amazing prices and they cleaned me out. And some galleries in New York said to me, gee, your prices are too low. I said, sir, it's my prerogative. All I know is that I can make a living. Sometimes I made $2,000-3,000 in 2 hours because they love the work and my prices were so reasonable. They just send me a package. They don't even ask for what it is. So I understood the pricing concept. That's where math works, right? And you as a photographer is the same thing. You want to make, and also you can have something like my brother and I call the bread and butter. You have a collection of works that you sell underpriced, just to cover your costs, eat, and continue your process, right? And before you know it, you're thriving. And now You even have a little dessert. Right? The dessert is not bad. and that is very encouraging. I would even sell at a loss if I have to. Doesn't matter. You gotta get going. And interesting, I get to know my customers too. And for a while, I knew what they liked. And each time I came with a new body of work, I kept a series for them and say, hey, I have a package for you to select from. They show up, they usually take the whole package I selected for them. They pay me and they go. You see what I mean? It's a relationship. You can do that with photography exactly the same way.
We had this exact same conversation yesterday with an artist. And he said the exact same thing, you know, that the way that he's able to sell art is because of the humanity of it, the connection that he's made and being able to relate with people.
Yes.
That is a very important aspect in trying to sell a piece.
It's very interesting because the first Friday, there was a few ladies, four young ladies. I enjoyed them. I truly enjoyed them. I chatted with them. And they were so happy and delighted. They bought 2 pieces. One of them bought 2 pieces. By the time I was through, they just loved it so much. I said, are you sure you want to buy this? I said, yes. Oh, but they looked so young, I figured. And they want to come back. But that's also art is a relationship business.
And that's what this gentleman said as well. That art is a relationship.
It is totally a relationship, and it's also impulsive buying. If they don't buy it at that moment where they feel for it, the chances are they won't. But I have done things also like this. This is a very interesting story. I was in the home show in Toronto, national exhibit, big home show. I had a big set. A lady came in and she loved the painting, but she couldn't afford it. And I said to her, you know what? I'm going to keep it for you. Whenever you can come back. And I gave her the address of my shop. 2 or 3 years later, she shows up and Jack is at the shop and she describes the painting. And he said to her, oh, my wife kept it for you. He pulled it out. She was in heaven.
That's a great story.
Yes. And we bought a bottle of wine. I went and hanged it with her. She was delighted and I even gave her a nice discount. And I say, hey, she was a nurse. The look on her face was so... I do that. I said, Jack, I don't have to sell this. Keep it in the back room. I promised it to somebody. She shows up. It's nice to be able to do that. And for them, the fact that you lived up to that promise seals it for life. It's very impressive to do this not knowing the outcome. But I do a lot of things like that. That's why I live a serendipitous life. This is amazing life. This is how I get... you become so natural after a while, dealing with people, to almost know what they do. And when they are artists, I see that beam in their eyes. They can't hide it.
Right.
They just can't hide it. And when they ask questions... you become good at reading the body language. And I make them also very much at ease. And they are very surprised. I don't play the arrogance game. First of all, I am not capable. I can't even try it. I'll fail miserably. It wouldn't be a good idea. Because my memory is not that good. Right? But so the more you deal with the public, the more you become alert, sensitive. You have a sense of the pulse. And it's also important to speak your mind even at the risk of giving a little bust. Yeah. Oops, I'm gonna get a punch today. Right? But you know what? It never happens. And the element of truth is so disarming. It really is. People are surprised by the truth because nobody speaks it or they are afraid to.
Boy, that's the truth. That is the truth.
Right. And when they laugh, I know the truth hit.
Right, you hit home, right?
We don't laugh when it's not true. The truth makes people laugh. And that's the best thing for comedy. Why do they laugh? Because it's true. Otherwise, they won't laugh.
It's the best thing in life.
Yeah.
Sitting there sharing a laugh with somebody.
Right, right. So, as I say, when you become part of the public life, or you, and I chose to be on the street, it's very cool. It's alive every day. I don't know what's going to happen. As opposed to, it's very lonely not being on the street. It's a platform. And in a way, people come to me. I don't even have to go to them.
Right. They're interested in just seeing, who is this person?
Right.
Who is this artist?
And the economy of movement, instead of me going to them, they all come to me, which is a huge advantage.
I didn't even think about it, but yeah. Just having the studio right here.
And I think as photographers, I would do the same. Be on the street. A place that they know where you are. And sometimes the results take years, and people don't forget, and they come back to reward you years later when they can. It's just, it's extraordinary. And you become a very good judge of character after a while. And, but I'm always eager to help them. This is another one. I was in Toronto and somebody was looking for a person in my region where I had my shop. And I said to them, hey, I am very lucky. I always find things for people. I said it, holy shit. I said, give me your phone number just in case. I go to visit a friend and the name is right on the mailbox. How the shit did I do that? Again, this is the freer, and it's almost like I have to save my honor. I made a promise I don't think I can keep, but it came to me. Serendipity increases. The more free you are, the more serendipities your life is. It's amazing. I mean, and another woman, a Russian woman, she looked at me. I was a teenager. She said, you bring luck to people. I said, how do you know that? He said, because I was looking for this record and you walked me into this shop and we found it. A record of all things, right? I guess this is serendipity in action, right? Mm-hmm. But I've always been that way. Again, because I'm scatterbrains.
I don't think you're scatterbrained.
No,
I think you're just free and
free.
And I admire that in a person.
Free is.
That's everything.
I don't know. As I say, I am surprised I keep this level of energy on a constant basis. It's not normal. Most people have to go up and down. I never go down. Because my mind is always happy finding something to do. If I don't find it, I'll destroy something so I can fix it. Yeah, I've done that too. And
I think people do that, right?
Yeah, just to keep yourself busy.
Right? Whether they do it consciously or subconsciously, sometimes they do things in life to kind of muck it up so that they can have something to do, so they can have something to fix.
Yes. So, and also important is to surround yourself with people like that.
You need to have a community
of
people that you can engage with. And and inspire.
So that's what I said. I used to say that to the city people. I said, I am not here for the mountains. I'm here for the spirit of Colorado. And I love the people. They are your biggest assets. When you have to focus on them.
That's fantastic.
People like you, you're fantastic. Who wouldn't love people like you? I mean, look at it that way, right? It's amazing. And when you have this synergy, big things happen. And I don't want to copy anyone. I want our own original thought. I want our own original spirit. And that's what makes a movement is we don't need anyone from outside. I don't need it from France or England or Germany or Timbuktu. I have it in my backyard. Why should I not cultivate it? Again, Voltaire, we must cultivate our garden. This is Pangloss after he traveled the world. He finally came to the realization that his garden is the best place to be. And by the way, the word paradise is a Hebrew word that means pardes. Pardes is the vegetable garden. Paradise is when you get up in the morning and you pick up your fruit and you don't work hard for it. You pick it from the ground and you have your food. That's the real definition of paradise. It's not that thing in heaven. It's your vegetable garden in the back of your house. That's the definition of pardes, the vegetable garden, the Hebrew word. And I like it. That's the way it should be.
I agree.
And it's not this fantasy in another world.
Right? We're always looking out beyond.
And the
there's
fantasy in
something
another
better.
world is a denial of reality. We are denying our paradise here,
Right.
in the hope of a future one that may not exist or does not exist.
So many really religious people, they don't live for today. They
Right.
live for the future that they don't even know is what it is.
Is not existent,
Right.
doesn't exist. But they're betting on that because they have surrendered the real world. That is their food. It's not a realistic expectation. So that means they abandoned us. They are actually cowardly. Why would you want to abandon your home for a promissory note that may never happen?
And I kind of approach life, or at least I feel like I approach life like this is the journey I'm on. I'm not going to concern myself with the destination after life.
Right.
I want to experience the essence of what I have here and now.
Right.
In this room.
Yes.
In this conversation.
Right. It's very interesting because this is the moment, and our existence is made with a sequence of moments strung together. And then you make sense of it as time goes by.
Right.
And the real joy is to be in the real world with real people. It's not accepting that is basically denying our own existence, which is ridiculous, really. As I say, it's nice to grow up in a big family because you get to be forgotten. Right? And so you grow up on your own. They don't even know who you are. And then all of a sudden you're an adult with some influence and power. I've always been this way. When there were disputes, even between my older brothers or kids, they all came to me for the last judgment. They wanted to be judged by me because I was fair and I pacify everybody and send them home. And the way to do that, I was explaining that to Jack. He's an attorney. I said, the way we did peace at home, and the Muslims did that a lot too. We're very interesting. There is no judge. There's only one judge, but there are no attorneys. your side, his side, and the judge. And you tell your story and your story, and the judge makes a decision. And before you leave, you have to hug each other and shake each other's hands. And it's very pacifying, and it works. As opposed to the conflict, it's like the mouse is now bringing the dog, and the dog is now bringing the tiger, and the tiger is bringing the elephant. You get buried. Yeah, whoa, this is the machine we created. We don't need all that. I mean, right? So that's the part of some of the cultures I like. The ability to solve problems and make peace with others and just do it. But again, it depends who does it. Mm-hmm. Some people are good at aggravating and creating war. Some are good at pacifying. We want more of the pacifiers. It's not difficult to pacify as long as it's not a final, like death or killing. The rest is all negotiable.
Right. Everything's on the table.
Everything is on the table. You are the coolest people. You are amazing. This is very interesting afternoon.
Well, I've enjoyed it.
I've thoroughly
I'm glad you did.
Yeah. And what's funny is she's the first one that turned the tables on us to start asking us questions about who we, our childhood and stuff. And that was kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Of course, because I want to know the source of who we are.
Right.
It starts at that.
You want to know who you're dealing with, right?
Yeah, exactly.
What jokers we are.
Well, because it's also interesting to, we love to express ourselves and talk about ourselves because that's all we know. We are our own subject of conversation, and it's nice to know what everyone has to do. And when I engage you, you're re-energized too, just like I am.
Mm-hmm.
I'm definitely re-energized.
Yeah.
I'll be good for a few days now, for sure.
Right.
You're truly amazing people.
Oh, thank you.
I have some clementines that'll give you a buzz.
Hey, real quick.
All right.
Because we're gonna
wrap this up.
We're gonna wrap this up.
Yes.
So if you want to see some of Georgia Amar's art, you can either go to the gallery at 828 Santa Fe Drive in Denver, Colorado, 80204, or you can contact her or see her art at www.georgia.amar.fineart.com. For the Tenet Podcast, this is Todd Pearson.
And this is Wes Brown. Thanks for listening.
Have a great week.